So the Vermont National Guard has a dual mission. For one of them, we support the governor, and for our main one, we support the president. Due to the status of what the National Guard is, the federal mission has priority over the state mission. But if we're able to respond, we always will. And our funding source comes from the federal piece. So that is why for every response that we do, there's some sort of reimbursement that we have to pursue. If a municipality, entity, or state is unable to pay for that service, it won't prevent us from responding. That's just a disclaimer I always have to go over. Next slide. So what is the Vermont National Guard officer? We offer two things. Those are capabilities and then equipment, leases, and loans. And we offer them in 11 broad categories listed there. And I will give some examples now on the next slide. So on a day-to-day basis, we have a full-time fire department at the airport, and they do mutual aid with the local fire agencies in the area. And they're the only ones in the region capable of responding to, outfitted for responding to aviation fires. And then for that next image, that's an example of a modular air firefighting system with MAFs. And those don't really get used here in the Northeast, but out in the West, they are used to fight large scale fires. That's something that we could summon here to the state through a concept called EMAC. Then the next image there shows us doing a hazmat response. We have a full-time team in state called the 15th Civil Support Team. Each state has either one or two. We have one, and they provide support for the uniquely military hazmat incidences, and they also back up the state's hazmat team. On the bottom row, that next image is our EOD team based out of the 158th Fighter Wing. They again respond to the things that are uniquely military, like Grandpa brought back a hand grenade from the Korean War, and then you discover it in his collection of things. But so they would come and pick that up. But they also fill in for the state police's bomb squad when their capacities are exceeded. Then on a day-to-day basis, we also do community relations, aerial requests for special events, static displays for public events, that type of stuff. And then we have larger scale instances on the next slide. So we do ground transport support for commodities. So when Irene came through, we moved large amounts of MREs, that type of stuff. There was also examples of that during the COVID response when we had the food bank support, which if you go back and see some pictures of that, we do airlift slash. Oh no, yes, we do airlift slash air transport support for as well as search and rescue. For aviation type stuff. We could do civil disturbance response, although that's not something that we typically do here in the state. We have EMAC'd our forces down to DC for support there before, or I believe that was actually a federal mission. And we do incident command support. So up in the top right-hand corner, that's a comm suite that we can loan out during major disasters. It has satellite communications, radios, internet, some stations for an incident commander if there's a large-scale thing that ever happens here in Vermont. But most importantly, to this series of talks, we can do flooding response and support. So we have a couple sandbag machines, and then we also have a lot of folks that can help fill sandbags and destroy that stuff if there is a large-scale incident here in state. Next slide. So how is the Vermont National Guard requested? The appropriate individual for example, your town manager or some sort of elected official that's able to obligate on behalf of your local community, contacts VEM, and they really make the determination of what resource is most appropriate for response. It might be the case where there's some sort of state agency or contractor that's cheaper, able to respond faster than us, and they make that determination. But when you contact them, make sure to give them the who, what, where, when, why. So give a point of contact, describe what you need. For example, 500 gallons of water a day. Don't just say a water trailer. When you would need it and where you would need it. Street address works best for them. Next slide. There's a lot of limitations that we have when offering military support. So if we're performing a federal mission and we're unable to respond locally, well, that's obviously a limitation. We're not allowed to compete with commercial services. So like if you're looking for in a non-emergent situation for like tents or for bulk water or regular aeromedical transport, we can't take business away from those existing commercial services. If an available service exists at the public or local level that hasn't been exhausted yet, then those services should be used first. Like, for example, your police, fire, EMS, or if there's something at the state, they should be used first as well. And then some requests might get tricky or be prohibitive based upon some legalese considerations. Like surveillance, searching for fugitives, or use of distinctly military equipment for law enforcement. Next slide. So if you would like to know more, you can check out the independent study course on the FEMA Emergency Management Institute for IS-75, links right there. We have a couple Vermont National Guard 101 videos that you can access via those links right there. And if you're unable to get a copy of the slides, you can email us as well. So my boss, his number and email is located there. Mine is next on the list. And if you're looking to contact our operations center, the number is 802-338-3050. And then we also have a public website.